Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellie and today we'll go through my yarn stash in 2024. Hello, I hope you're all doing really well. I made one of those videos last year as well, and I thought it would be fun to do another one for 2024 and see how much yarn I've added and just in general how much my yarn stash has changed. So without further ado, I think we can get straight into it because those numbers are very interesting, at least to me. I am a numbers person. Just for an explanation at the start, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I track the amount of yarn that I have in my stash. I started this in 2023 and it's been one of my most useful tools ever since. Whenever I buy new yarn, I put it in this list with the name and what the yarn is called, the color code or the color name, and then I have separate columns for quantity, meterage, the gauge if I know it, and if it's like on hand. It's not super important to have this one filled out for me, but all the more important is the next one, future projects, because in this one I put in what I have in mind for this yarn, which is very helpful because if you've got yarn and you bought it a while ago, you can't quite remember what project you had in mind. So I think that is very useful to me. And then I have 3 more columns: stash, in and out. Stash is everything that I've had since the beginning of the year. In is everything that comes in, and out is obviously everything that goes out, which means I've used up, I've sold, I donated, etc. So that is for an overview. I went through this sheet a little bit more in depth in my other video for 23. If you want to have a look at that, please do. And now we can have a look at the numbers, how much the stash has changed from the beginning throughout the year to the end. So quantity wise, I started with 564 balls of yarn. Now quantity is a bit of a wibbly wobbly measurement because I do have cones, and for example the cone I only count as 1, even though technically on that cone are more than 1 ball of yarn. So this is just a guideline for me to see how much on average I've got. The same with the meters. Meterage, I've got 92,777 meters at the beginning of the year. Those are quite big numbers. I know I do have a big stash. I'm working on stash busting. Now to the numbers that I have added. Throughout the year, I only added 63 balls, which are 8,389 meters. Now I do say only. I know this is still a lot. 63 balls of yarn is still quite a lot, especially because I already have a big stash. But quite a lot of the times I do buy yarn for a specific project. So that is kind of my justification for it. I also like to look at my yarn. I hope you are kind of the same and I'm not the only weirdo out here. But 63 balls of yarn is what I've added. So at the end of 2024 I had 627 balls, or 101,566 meters. Now for the stash busting part, it is very interesting because I've said this now multiple times, I've not knitted as much as I could have in the past year, also because I took a really big knitting break. But I still managed to stash bust 61 balls of yarn. Now again, this number is a little obscured because I don't count the leftovers, like full-on yarn balls, just because for my spreadsheet it would change the numbers too much, and then I would have to have a separate list for scraps, and that is to me just not worth it in terms of the time. So the number is not very accurate. I'm sure it's actually less, because for most of my projects I have 1 or 2 balls left over, or like started using only half of a yarn ball, so it's actually a little less. But if you count the overall meterage, it would be around 7,874 meters that I have used up. Now bear in mind, I added meterage wise, or ball wise, I think that's a little bit easier. Ball wise, I added 63 balls, but then I stash busted 61, so we are almost even, which is fantastic news for me, because that means I'm kind of starting out with the new year with the same quantity that I started with at the beginning of 24, even though I have made things and garments and accessories, etc. So if we have a look at that in percentages, because I love a good pie chart, the sum at the beginning of the year minus what I have, like percentage wise what I've added in 2024 is 8%, and 92 I've already had in my stash. So 8% I added, and then used up is 7%. So 93 I had still at the end of the year, which is, I still think, are really, really good numbers to have for the size, and just looking back at how everything went last year. Now, you're probably wondering how much I actually spent on yarn, because 63 balls of yarn also cost a lot of money. I like to buy my yarn in bulk, so I don't like to just buy yarn for one project, also because I do want to save on the delivery costs. I mean, they're only 5 or 6 euros, so it's not a big deal, but I am a little bit snobby for that, so I always kind of wait until I find more projects that I want to make, which I need new yarn for, and then order it all at once. So in total I spent 220 euros throughout the year, which is pretty damn good. 220 euros, I thought it would be more, to be honest, with 63 balls, but I do also have quite a I also bought expensive yarn, so it's not, it could be less, but it also could be more, let's put it that way. So 220 euros, I'm really happy with that number. I know I've spent way more in the past, but I'm trying to use this as a guideline for how much I want to buy this year. Again, I'm not putting myself on a buying ban, but I still want to use up the yarn that I already have and make the projects that I wanted to make, which is why I bought the yarn in the first place, if that makes sense. So now is the year 2025, so I am going into the new year with 515 balls of yarn, which are 86,103 meters. That is my new number, that is what I'm starting out with, and I'm really excited to see what the new year holds for me, knitting wise, stash busting wise. I've already made some major progress. I sold some yarn, which makes me really happy, because first of all I got it out of my stash, and second of all this person can use it better than I ever could have done. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions on how I use this spreadsheet, or if you want to know anything more in detail, let me know in the comments. Also, if I should make a more detailed version of how I started this spreadsheet, I guess, you can let me know. If that is all from you guys, I hope you have a lovely day, week, weekend, whenever you're gonna watch this. Let's have a fantastic 2025 with lots of knitted projects and beautiful yarn, and I'm gonna see you next time. Bye!